This is the Nightwolf howling at you, and cowbunga, we're going to be talking about the Turtles of Grayskull, Raphael, hard-headed size specialist. In this crossover figure, we have him kind of merged with Ram Man, which honestly is a little disappointing to me because Raphael is my favorite of the Turtles. And in that supposed crossover that they were looking into doing back during the classified era, Raphael was actually using a lot of Tila's equipment, and that version looked really freaking cool. So I kind of wish they'd gone more with that sort of thing. On the back of the box, we show Raphael fighting against Skeletor, the Target exclusive that the pre-orders all sold out within like a minute and haven't gone back up again, and isn't expected to come out for a few more months. Because store exclusives suck. We also have Skeletor looking like his normal self, and the Turtles with Grayskull version of Shredder in the background. The Turtles tracked Shredder back to Krang's Technodrome. Raph charged headfirst into the fray before a flash sent them to Eternia. Now adorned in Ram Man's spare armor, Raph's back to tracking Shredhead and looking for a way back home. Included in this wave is, of course, Raphael, the hard-headed size specialist, Ram Man, mutated battering ram, Beast Man, undercover henchman. I'm not sure how that works as undercover. And Shredder, evil master of ninjutsu. So let's go ahead and open this sucker up. And this actually, since this is wave 2, we should continue the comic story from before. Hey, look at that! I cut it all the way through the first time! Awesome! Cowabunga, dude! And we do have the new mini comic. And this looks like our first glimpse of the Skeletor for this volume as well. Our little information sheet with all the crap that comes off of him. On the cover, we see Shredder, Skeletor for this version, Beast Man, Mutated Ram Man, Merman, Tila, Man-at-Arms, Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and one other fellow, Raphael. He's the leader of the team transformed from the norm by the nuclear goop. Pizza's the food that's sure to please. These ninjas are into pepperoni and cheese. Now back to the story. It's not hard to find. Ninjas not just of the body, but of the mind. Remember the words of your teacher, your master. Evil moves fast, but good moves faster than light. Shining on your illumination. Good versus evil equals confrontation. So when you get in trouble, don't give in and go sour. Try to rely on your turtle power. And before anybody gets mad at me for not knowing how the turtles work, that's actually a song from the live-action turtle movie from like the 90s. Turtle Power by Partners in Crime. Actually, I will leave a link to the music video in the description. Alright, so let's have a look inside the comic, The Belly of the Beast Man. So we open it up with a recap of who He-Man is, being told by Man-at-Arms, which I guess it's probably a good thing Tila's not there because she might ask a little more questions than what she really should know. Looks like Donatello is working on Roboto, although I don't recall him being damaged in the last one, but it sounds like he is. Well, obviously he's trying to modify him into something new, which of course ultimately will be Metal Bato. Raphael is in a hurry to get things done. Leonardo is not. And Tila sees an intruder. Turns out it's Beastman sneaking around. They of course capture him easily, where he tells them that he knows where He-Man is, and he can help find him. And Beastman tells the story of how Skeletor felt a strange power and he called Merman, Fakor, Trapjaw, and himself in, and Trapjaw is not painted properly in this artwork, and Merman's face looks a bit different. But this new power was entering the universe. Skeletor used his power to draw it to them, and ultimately it landed in the swamp of Gengon, where they found Shredder and Krang in his robot suit. And they had something that Skeletor believed was the key to defeating He-Man once and for all, and he made a deal with Shredder and Krang, and they opened up a permanent or semi-permanent portal to Dimension X. Then, of course, they captured He-Man, which there's no real explanation for how they captured He-Man. But Beastman here is saying he didn't trust any of the shit that was going on, and so when he saw He-Man being mutated, he decided, I'm getting the hell out of here. I can't. Snake Mountain's not safe. I will go to the Palace of Eternos and hang out with my buddies there. And of course, that's when he got caught and locked away. Of course, Beastman says he will help them retrieve if they let him out. To which, of course, Teela is smart enough to say we can't really trust him. And Duncan, of course, says, yeah, no shit. So they start making a deal, and Beastman gets his first look at the turtles. And this is where Beastman gets his samurai armor as they go into the bowels of Snake Mountain, it looks like. Where it looks like Raphael makes the comment of, this is definitely a trap, right? And it looks like Teela replies with, definitely. And then we end up in some ruins that look like a big old arena area where we see the mutated Ram Man, Slackor, a mutated Merman, Beastman, and of course the mutated Moss Man with Skeletor, Krang, and Shredder watching from above. And of course we get the snarky line from Michelangelo of, gasp, betrayal, I'm shocked, just shocked. And so the fight begins, and He-Man is released. Is that He-Man? Teela says, and Michelangelo replies, I always imagined him little less rabid. And a fight starts to ensue, and obviously the obvious is mentioned of, oh, they must have been brainwashed. Duh. But everybody's too strong for the turtles and Teela to go after, so they aren't doing well. And we see the town fighter fly by, and we see Metalbotto dropped from it. And he's like, Roboto? Metalhead? Both and neither. I am Metalbotto. Clearly, my friends, now yours your chance to escape. And he basically takes the blunt of the attacks so everybody else can run away. But they do leave with a sample of the ooze that Shredder was using, so that's a plus. And they want to figure out how to reverse engineer the ooze so they can come up with a cure for He-Man and the others. And so Teela suggests that they go to Castle Grayskull, to which Mikey freaks out because the castle has a creepy skeleton head. And this is really making me hope that we get the sorceress now too. I want to see the turtle-eyed sorceress. And of course, on the back, we get the usual cross sell with Ram Man, the mutated battering ram, Beastman, the undercover henchman, Raphael, the hard-headed side specialist, and Shredder, evil master of ninjutsu. And for some reason, he comes with a horde crossbow, and I don't know why. Okay, as I mentioned before, Raphael is my favorite character from the Ninja Turtles. I really enjoyed his sarcasm in the original cartoon series that they did, and I enjoyed his angry, violent nature in the original comic and subsequent cartoon series up until just after Nickelodeon took over. Then they kind of ruined the character as far as I can tell. Again, I did like the one Ninja Turtles cartoon they did, the first one they did with the computer animation, but after that, not so much. His weapons, he has a ridiculously oversized sai, which it looks pretty good, but again, it's just way too big. I don't know why they decided to go so big with all the weapons in this series. And we get what appears to be a sai gauntlet. Now, there are fingers to it, though. So I guess there's that. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this one. I'm just going to straight out say that. Take a good look at him. His helmet does come off, thank God. And he's got a really stern look with showing no teeth, which I also kind of appreciate that. Let's this really doesn't. I don't know why they're. I mean, they're calling this like Ram Man's alternate armor, but it really kind of looks dumb. I don't know. Not. This is not my favorite design for a Raphael. I'm just gonna straight out say, but at least they colored his bracers in the red, which I think is one of the things that we're missing from both Donatello and Leonardo. So articulation wise, we've got the ball joint in the head and can look around like usual. However, the helmet does move around quite a bit on its own, even though it really does kind of have this little groove back here for the headband, so it shouldn't move as much, but it does. However, we can get a full 360 spin on the head if we want, so that's good. Look up, look down, look over to the side, look over to the other side. Wonder what I've done in my life that I'm in this stupid armor. We, of course, have the hinge up, hinge down. We can rotate forward and rotate back. The armor does hinder pretty much all the articulation, however, so there's that. I mean, we can still move it out pretty much as far over as it goes sideways, but that's it. We lose pretty much all of the spin from the armor. The wrist has the, or not the wrist, but the elbow has the standard hinge and peg, so we get a spin there. Standard turtle hand so far. Spin, in and out hinge, like pretty much all of the Origin style figures. On the other side, he does have a turtle shell, additional turtle shell bit of armor, because this part didn't hinder everything enough, so we needed to add an additional hindrance to the left side. And it doesn't have like the one kind of attach. It's a solid piece, so it's probably going to stay on there a little bit better. We of course have a waist swivel. This one does not knock the shell off, like I think we had with Donatello. We can kick up yay far. We can kick back yay far. And we can kick out, so we can do those medium ninja kicks. We have the standard boot cut. And we have a hinge up, hinge back, and a peg to move the foot around, and he's got the Bear Ninja Turtle feet. What I like is that they put his boots in the red and used a darker color on the outside of it. I think that looks really nice. So, and like the other turtles, he's got the shell, which pops off the back, and man, that is a really tight fit. This armor is a more solid plastic than any of the armors we have had previously in this line. So I would say you are not going to want to be pulling that shell off very often. But as before, it can work as a shield. And we can put the sai in there. And it is just the same turtle shell armor shield that the other turtles came with. So same generic opening here that's meant for all the weapons and still sucks. But we'll put that back in place. I'm going to leave the helmet off for now. We have the gauntlet. Which goes on his right arm because that's the hand it's made for. Put the sai in the other hand. And I really do not like this weapon at all. I don't like this one. I think it's ridiculous looking. Not to mention the blade on here. I'm going to guess by the design that it is supposed to be a two-sided blade, but this is definitely made for slicing, whereupon a sai is generally made for stabbing and for catching, which I guess you can technically still do with this. Sais were also known as weapon breakers. The idea being that if you can put enough force, two sais together and crack the sword. Not that it probably happened very often. But let's go ahead and get him out of all the armor and see what he looks like when he's freed. Man, he is one buff turtle. Once again, it would be nice if they either painted the shell or had designed the shell so that this one could hold on to the back. Now, I'm not going to try to take that off again. This, seriously, the way this armor is designed, it is definitely a heavier duty plastic. It's not the same kind of rubbery plastic the other armor has been. So I really do think that if you pull this on and off too many times, it's going to break. It's also kind of weird that this attaches to nothing on him. And then the loincloth is a single piece also. And it's actually generic enough, you could probably use it with other characters, which may be the point. I'm not sure why they went with the turtle slash crystal motif. I mean, obviously the turtle motif, but this kind of makes me think of Ram Mam from the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe CGI series. I wish he came with two sai though, and at the very least, like, if they really wanted to give him this god-awful weapon, it would have been nice if they gave him a second sai anyway, just so that you could still do him without it. Because I think, like I said with Leonardo, I think, they look really nice even without the armor, with the exception of course, Donatello, whose helmet is glued to his head so you can't take it off. Otherwise, like, these would be really great turtle figures, and this may be the first one that I really seriously consider getting a second one of, just to leave as a turtle. In which case I will probably paint the shell and maybe see about coloring the belt the same color as the bracers. Yeah, one thing to note too is the inside of this gauntlet. There is a little spot there so that you can kind of fit the thumb through. Not sure well you can see that. So that way you can line it up properly. But I think that'll conclude our look at the Ninja Turtles Raphael. If I do buy a second one of him, if I find him in the stores, because I ordered this one from Big Bad Toy Store, and thank goodness I got the comics in English. Although, like I mentioned before, I wouldn't mind getting one comic in an international version without any text, just for the artwork itself. But to be fair, not much of the artwork on this one is as stunning or as keep worthy, in my opinion, as on the previous one. So please let me know what you think. Are you going for the Turtle Grayskulls line? And what do you think of the Ram Man version of Raphael? Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Peace and love.